MSI sent me their GT62VR gaming laptop. It's actually pretty awesome, has an i7-6820HK, a GTX 1070, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, a 512GB SSD and a 2TB hard drive, and a 4K display we'll take a look at in a second. On the back you have quite a lot of ventilation as well as DC in, mini DisplayPort, HDMI, USB Type-C and a Gigabit Ethernet jack. On the right hand side you have 3 USB 3 ports and an SD card reader, and on the left hand side you have a full suite of audio connections as well as a Kensington lock and a USB 2 port. The laptop itself is primarily plastic on the bottom and on the front of the screen, with brushed aluminium on the top where the keyboard is and on the back of the clamshell too. The keyboard layout is fairly decent, although it's still not a UK layout as the enter key is just a little bit too short, and obviously the Windows key is on the wrong side, although you can change that in software now, which is quite nice. And overall the typing experience is pretty nice. It's not too mushy, it's not too, overall hard or anything, it's just a overall nice typing experience, and the trackpad was quite nice, although I couldn't get two-finger scrolling to work, but that could very well potentially just be me. The screen itself is actually pretty nice, overall being a 4K panel. The overall colour accuracy, at least to the eye anyway, is very nice. Although you do have a lot of screen flex, as you can see here. It's very easy to bend it, so do just be a little bit more careful if you do pick one of these up, that you don't, twist the screen in any way and break it. Otherwise, inside the laptop, there isn't much space wasted either. As you can see, you've got your NVMe drive in the bottom corner, your 2 RAM DIMMs just to the basically just above that and right next to the CPU. You also have your graphics card's MXM module, which in theory is upgradable, although we haven't necessarily seen upgrade modules available, and a little bit of sort of in-depth tech knowledge here. This battery has 8 cells, which means that they're running at about 2.6 amp hours per cell, which is actually quite small. Obviously the voltage is a lot higher than, for example, my phone, but at the same time, my phone's overall capacity is 3,600 mAh, so despite my phone consuming a lot less power, this one, well, it's just not great on battery life, basically. In terms of performance, it's a really impressive machine. Obviously, this being a 4K display, I managed to test it at 4K as well, and if you do plan on picking one of these up, I personally recommend running games at 1440p or 1080p, as you're generally going to be under 60 FPS at 4K on very high or ultra settings, so just bear that one in mind. Obviously you can run it at 4K if you like, although being a 15-inch screen the difference isn't all that massive, especially if you're running at 1440p. And if you do pick up the 1080p model, don't worry too much, as that's just going to mean that the laptop will last you a little bit longer as well, as you won't notice FPS drops as much as newer games come out and that sort of stuff. Also, just in terms of temperatures, this one maxed out about 83 degrees. Which certainly isn't too bad, especially considering that it wasn't that loud either, so overall I am pretty impressed with the performance. So I've got to say, this laptop did actually surpass my expectations. It's actually pretty impressive. I was meant to be reviewing the GT73 at this point, but due to an issue I'm obviously reviewing this one, and despite this one being the GT73 sort of little brother, and despite it also being about double the thickness of a GS63, it's still actually quite light and portable. You can easily fit it in a backpack, and despite the power brick also being pretty big, again you can still fit that in a backpack nice and easy, and if you do want to take this to college or university or school or something, or generally just take it with you on a regular basis while you're traveling or something, it's not too much of a sort of issue that I would necessarily see you having if you did want to take this around, so portability is actually quite a nice factor. There's a small asterisk to that, is that the battery life just isn't that great. You're looking at around about an hour, maybe maximum of 2 on sort of web browsing, word processing type applications, and if you're planning on gaming, well, it's like 15 minutes maximum, and obviously it's throttled because that's how laptop gaming when you're not plugged in works. So if that was your plan, to have a mobile gaming workstation that you can play games on the train or something without it being plugged in, you just generally won't be able to. Now there is another factor I just want to talk about, and that's the price. Now at the time of filming, obviously with the 4K screen model, I actually looked up the price for this one on Overclockers UK, and obviously this is at the time of filming, and for the 4K model, and depending on when you watch this it may vary, but the price for me right now is £2,300 roughly, which just to give you a comparison, a system with the same specs, so a GTX 1070, an i7-6700K, which is obviously unlocked and overclocked, and because it's a desktop chip will run a little bit faster, and obviously the graphics card will run a bit cooler and potentially run faster as well because it can overclock itself with a GPU boost. That system would be about £300 less expensive, and that includes an IPS very nice 4K monitor, a keyboard and mouse, and I haven't really, in this just sort of spec list, I haven't really skimped out on anything. There's a Corsair RMI 750, which is obviously overkill, but just to give you an idea where there's definitely room to breathe in terms of the you know, the system that you could buy with that sort of money if you didn't need the portability aspect. And obviously portability is, you know, definitely useful for a lot of people, and even just being able to move it around houses or being able to move it to, you know, your friend's house or something nice and easy is something that you know, people just inherently value. So I just wanted to give you an idea on a bit of a comparison, so if you are planning on buying one of these, you just know what a similar system might cost if you're planning on going on the desktop routes. Other than that, it is actually very impressive. The temperatures weren't too bad. It was about 83 degrees, but it was pretty quiet. And if you want it to run a little bit cooler with being a little bit louder, you can change the fan curves in the MSI Dragon software. And overall, as I said, it is quite a nice laptop. As I said, it's quite quiet. The screen is actually quite nice, although personally I might recommend you go for the 1080p model. You definitely need display scaling if you're planning on using the 4K one, and I wouldn't recommend gaming at 4K either, because while it does just about sort of cut the mustard as such, you're still, even on sort of high settings, you're still going to be running at 30 to 50 FPS, which isn't too bad, but obviously you're going to want to be running at 60 FPS generally. So if you do get the 4K model, perhaps try running it at 1440p, or even just running games at 1080p. And that sort of thing, but it's certainly a laptop I would expect to last a long time, which is awesome. Yeah, I guess that's that really. In terms of scoring, I think I'm going to go for a 3 for 5 money. I'm going to have to go for a 5 for performance though, because it does a pretty great job. Functionality, I'm actually pretty impressed with, so I'm going to go with a 4.5. In terms of styling, I'm going to go with, I think, a 4. I like the GS range just a little bit better. And TechteamGB score, I'm going to go with a 4, and I think a Gamer Approved award. It's a very nice laptop, and if you are, you know, a hardcore gamer that just wants the best performance and still a little bit of portability, then it's certainly the one I would recommend. Although, as I said, I would probably recommend the 1080p model just as a sort of personal thing. But yeah, I guess that's kind of that. If you want to pick this one up, please do use that Amazon affiliate link in the description down below. It genuinely helps me out, keeps these videos running, keeps the PC on and all that sort of stuff. Feel free to follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well for updates and random behind the scenes stuff and all that jazz. And yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you liked it, like, and all that sort of stuff. If you didn't like it, feel free to dislike, but let me know why in the comments down below. If there's anything you think I could improve on, feel free to let me know too, or if there's just anything you think about with the laptop, then again, feel free to leave a comment down below. I love having a chat with you and having a conversation about the videos and the products that I'm reviewing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.